ESPN pulls sick anti-American stunt after they were warned, got what they deserved 24 HRS later. We're barely into football season, and anti-American football players are already up to their disgusting antics, picking up where Colin Kaepernick left off last year. Left-leaning ESPN announcers are showing their true anti-American sentiments in recent days, as ESPN anchors are now demanding that white players join in the racist protests in the wake of Charlottesville. If ESPN's ratings were plummeting before, it's about to get much worse as after the sick anti-American stunt they just pulled. America's favorite pastime is now being hijacked by liberals as a platform for these oppressed millionaire NFL stars to whine about America's injustices. ESPN is making matters even worse by promoting this vile behavior. Rather than just doing their damn jobs and commentating on sports, they're now interjecting themselves in our country's politics, and outrageously going after anything that remotely represents American history or our founding fathers. During the University of Virginia game in Pittsburgh, the sports network decided to prove to America just how incredibly biased they are, by punishing an Asian broadcaster named Robert Lee from being able to cover the game because he shares the same name of one of America's racist founding fathers. In a story that seems like it was written for The Onion, ESPN spokesman Derek Volner released a statement about their decision to dismiss the Asian ESPN broadcaster from being able to cover the game. "We collectively made the decision with Robert to switch games as the tragic events in Charlottesville were unfolding, simply because of the coincidence of his name. In that moment it felt right to all parties." OutkickTheCoverage.com's Clay Travis broke the story Tuesday evening, writing, "According to multiple Outkick fans inside ESPN, decided to pull an Asian college football announcer named Robert Lee off the William and Mary at University of Virginia college football game because they were concerned that having an Asian football announcer named Robert Lee would be offensive to some viewers." ESPN originally scheduled Lee to cover this weekend's game between William and Mary College and the University of Virginia. Instead, ESPN reassigned Lee to cover the game between Youngstown State and Pittsburgh. Dave Weekley will cover the game in Virginia. "Unless someone tries to take down Dave Weekley statues between now and kickoff," Travis wrote. "In which case ESPN will be royally fucked. You've got to be freaking kidding me. So now the liberal snowflakes of America are going to punish Americans who happen to share the same name with people that they despise? Where does this insanity end? What about this Asian man's rights in this country as an American citizen? So his career as a sports broadcaster is in jeopardy because his name is deemed politically incorrect by these liberal morons?" This isn't the first time that ESPN has interjected themselves into America's politics. The sports network has been infamous for firing conservative commentators from their staff in the past, as their panel of sports broadcasters is now comprised completely of rabid American-hating inbreds. Last week, ESPN's First Take, Max Kellerman expressed his glee over Seattle Seahawks defensive end Michael Bennett's ongoing protests of our country, demanding that white players join Bennett's anthem protests. "I think Michael Bennett is 100% correct," Kellerman stated. "White players, where you at, baby?" He continued, "Come on, what's going on here? That's the question right now. And by the way, yes, it depends on the white player. When you paint with a broad brush, black players, white players, they're individuals, and they have their own ideas about things. So, I'm not saying all white players. What I am saying is, to Michael Bennett's point, it would. Not only would it be very helpful because it would show solidarity across racial barriers, or racial divides, particularly at this time in our nation's history, particularly with recent events." Kellerman then said it was embarrassing and a disgrace that no white players have spoken out in favor of the national anthem protests, Breitbart reported. "So you mean to tell me none of the white players in the NFL are maybe ambivalent at least about the protests, but then are thinking to themselves, if I'm ambivalent, if I'm not really sure which way I stand, I need to show some solidarity right now? None of them? Not one? It's a disgrace. It's embarrassing. And it would be so strong if at least one, especially if he's a star, stood up and did it," Kellerman declared. "This is absolute insanity. We knew that ripping down Confederate statues would be just the beginning of whitewashing our country's history, but it's inconceivable that Americans who happen to share the same names as our founding fathers are now going to be punished, humiliated, and demonized for having a name that liberals find offensive. No doubt even more NFL fans will be turning this network off as the American people are getting fed the hell up with football being used as this ridiculous political platform for these whiny liberals." Thank you for watching this video. What do you think about this? Share this on Facebook and Twitter along with your comments.